Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm so glad that y'all are here. I got some new stuff over Christmas, so hopefully y'all can see things better and hear me better and all that fun stuff. But if you're new here, my name is Brandy, and every week I do some kind of awesome dark history that I find, whether it has to do with witches, Native history, American history, any kind of history, European history. If it's dark, I like it. So at the same time, I put makeup on my face. It just kind of gives me something to do with my hands. I'm not gonna really tell you what I'm doing, but I will list below what I use on my face during this video. Today we're going back pretty far. We are doing a supposed witch today, okay? But this is back in Sweden, and it's in the late 1600s, early 1700s when all this is taking place. And it's called the Great Noise. Is this huge witch panic during this time, okay? And one of the witches that we're gonna be mostly focusing on today is named Malin Matsdotter. Y'all forgive my accent, okay? Matsdotter, Malin Matsdotter. She was born in 1631. And she ended up getting accused of witchcraft, and we're gonna go all through the whole entire thing. It's bonkers from beginning, the middle, and to the end. So I really hope you guys like this, and let's go ahead and get this party started. So, like I say, we're talking about Malen today. They actually called her the Rumpar Malen, which Rumpar, something like that, basically means she was stupid or uneducated. So to have a nickname of uneducated Malen is just kind of, but you know, she was the last woman to be in a witch trial, but to also die the way she died. And don't worry, I know I'm foreshadowing here, but don't worry. We don't know much about her heritage, unfortunately. The only thing that we know is that she was a Finnish, like from Finland. And as we know, we've talked about the Finnish before here, and how they have been scapegoated as people that could be witches or whatnot, right? And so a lot of people, you know, kind of side-eyed her a little bit because she was Finnish. You know, she had a little accent, a little language barrier there between Finland and Sweden, I guess. And, you know, so she was a Finnish person. She ends up getting married. And she doesn't have a whole lot of money or anything. But she, you know, she does get married. And in 1638, she marries a guy named Eric, if I can say it, Nielsen. Yes, Eric Nielsen. She marries him. And this is kind of what dragged me into the story. I'm not gonna lie, when I read this part, I was like, oh, this is gonna be good, you know? I guess, I don't know, maybe I'm just crazy or something. But, so, before I do that, so they had two daughters. Their name was Maria and Anna, okay? And evidently, according to Maria and Anna, they were getting, you know, beat up at home by their parents, by their dad, and they're saying by their mother too. And so the girls, they run away as they get older. And then, of course, they're found, and they are returned to the family, where the 13-year-old proceeds to tell a story about her father. Yes, she does. Her 13-year-old reports that, let me just read what she actually said, okay? After they returned home from the police or from whoever, they told the police, they're like, we're getting beat by our parents. And word for word, she's like, God knows, mother beat and you beat, and I shall no longer remain silent. Such a sin you have committed. all the time, standing on a chair over our black cow, like a rooster over a hen. Yes, she straight up told the cops that her daddy was having relations with a cow. A cow. Yes. And he got put to death for it. Yeah. So let me just, that's how strong of these rumors can get going, you know. We don't know. I mean, that absolutely could have happened. Like, absolutely. But, I mean, I'm sorry, but that should be reported if that's the deal. You feel me? So if that was really happening, then, you know, good for the girls. But if it wasn't, then that's not going to be that good either. So anyway, they got rid of the first husband, okay? Even Malen said that he slept with a knife under his pillow and was kind of suicidal. So I think the dad was kind of losing his smackers anyway. And so I guess they did him a favor, especially if you're bent over a cow. I'm just saying. So she remarries Malin, our girl Malin. She remarries a guy named Anders. And I would love to pronounce his last name for you guys, but I can't. So his name is Anders, and they kind of fight a lot. You know, they're kind of arguing and yelling, and the girls, her daughters, are really just not liking it. They're not feeling the vibes of hearing arguments all the time. But even though Malin was uneducated, she did have something on her side, and she owned a house, okay? And remember, this house that she owns is basically the whole reason all this happens, obviously. But she owns this house. And what she does, there's a sauna in the house. Well, back then, people used to use saunas to clean themselves and to, basically clean themselves. And so what she would do, she would like rent it out to people that wanted to use her sauna, and she would make some money that way. Okay. So not only did she have a home that was already paid for, she also had like a little side business where she could rent out her sauna to people and let them use it to bathe or whatnot, you know, and all that fun stuff. So she had that, and I believe that when her children left the nest, they end up coming back, unfortunately. When the girls come back home, they're thinking they're going to get taken care of and all this stuff. But during this time, you have to remember, it's called the Great Noise for a reason. There's a lot of bad things happening. There's people that are afraid that witches are going to come flying down out of the sky and take their kids and all this other stuff, because witch commissions have been put in place. Witchcraft, witch hunting, all that was in full-blown panic mode in Sweden during this time. Okay. It was they even formed commissions, like I say, witchcraft commissions, where it was just these men that would basically say whether or not a woman or a man was a witch. They had these commissions. I guess they're like maybe the top little witch hunters in their area, you know what I mean? Because being a witch hunter was like a thing for a time. But 280 people throughout end up getting killed in Sweden because of these witch trials, because of this great noise, you know? And people were being accused of taking children to Sabbats, you know, Black Mass, and things like that, because these kids would go into fits, they would be sick, and like all this other kind of crazy stuff. And so they didn't really understand what was going on. And there was a huge witch trial that was actually going on. And when we were talking about Malen, she's the last one of this witch trial, okay? And so that's who we're talking about today. But the Katarina witch trial is actually what kicked off the whole entire witch thing, where they said they would take these kids to a place called Blockula. Now, Blockula is an island, okay? And supposedly the devil would come to these witches, and they would take kids there and offer the kids' souls to the devil or whatnot, you know, for youth, and things of that matter. Well, this place is an island, and it's actually called Blue Hill. That's what Blockula stands for, Blue Hill. It's an island, has a huge, supposedly sprawling meadow that's never ending, with one house, one huge house, and supposedly that's where the devil lives. Yeah. And so people were going around abducting kids, supposedly, and taking them to this place and offering their soul to the devil. Okay, so that is the mindset that we have right now. All right. Now, Malen in July of 16, I can't stand dates, 1676, was reported to have taken children and things like that to Blockula by her own daughter. Her own daughter goes and says all these things and says, oh yeah, she's taken me many, many times, and yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. Okay. She also said she was abducted by Anna, the wife of Stefan, which Anna was this. Not only was Malin a maidservant to other people, she's also a midwife to this lady named Anna, who ends up getting accused of witchcraft as well. Okay, pretty much everybody around Malin does, and you'll see. So during Easter in Sweden, people dressed up as witches and stuff like that, and they go from door to door and they ask for treats. It's like Halloween here in America, only at Easter, that's what they do. They dress up like, what they used to back in the day, and they go around, act like witches, and they ask for treats and things like that, which I didn't know. I thought that was cool that they go door to door on Easter, instead of looking for eggs, they get treats from other people. I thought it was pretty nifty, But that's kind of the place that we're dealing with right now. People are in a panic mode. Their kids are having fits. They're not really understanding why. And, that's just, the way it gets started. Her own daughter says, yeah, my mom's been taking me to Sabbaths. Not a problem. You know what I mean? She said that after, she actually said that her mom said to her, my daughter, do you wish to follow me and we will make people out of you? So that's what she said her mom said to her. Okay, that is a little freaky to be like, we will make people out of you. But afterwards, she said Malen would take her to Blockula for the Sabbaths, you know what I mean, and all this other stuff. And she said that she took her many times, and that one time she went there on the back of a man, like she rode the back of some guy, which we never really find out who the guy is, because there was no guy. Okay, she's making all this up, and the reason she's making all this up is because she wants the house. She wants her mother's house. Her and her sister both. They want the house. They're lazy. They don't want to work, but they want the house, and they figured this is the best way to do that, right? So Malen is questioned. They're like, hey, Malen, are you doing all these things? Are you abducting children and taking them to Blockula and all this other kind of stuff? And, of course she denies everything. She denies it. She's like, no, I'm not doing any of that, And, but it doesn't matter because, like I say, there's a language barrier. And because her religion was questioned, and because that language barrier, not everybody interprets the Bible the same. And I will say that we could say that she was illiterate and couldn't read, but that's not true, because during this time, it was actually an ordinance of 1571. It was a Swedish church ordinance of 1571. Didn't matter who you were, male, female, it did not matter. You had to learn how to read in order to read the Bible. So Malen did know how to read, but she was also Finnish. So she probably couldn't say it the correct way that they were wanting her to. And so because she wasn't reciting these prayers and these creeds and things like that exactly the way they wanted her to a witch hunter, that's the sign of a witch. Point blank, period. That's the sign right there. If she cannot say the Lord's Prayer exactly exactly like they want it to, which she's not going to be able to. We also have different accents, different languages, you know, and that's just the way it is. And so she's asked to recite the creed. She said she could not bother to read and barely knew the Lord's Prayer. But that could be because of the language barrier. Or maybe she learned how to read, but she didn't want to learn about the Bible. I mean, maybe she read other stuff. We don't know. We don't know. But she had difficulties when her language had difficulties when she was asked to read prayers in court. And that's kind of what got her in trouble. Like, they would read prayers to her and ask her to recite them. And yeah, there's no reciting, like, at all. Like, they tried it like 11 times. She could never get it exactly right, like exactly the way they wanted it to be or not. So, you know, it's the language barrier. They're repeating it to her. When she's trying to read it back to them, she hesitates before she reads the scripture. So, of course, this means, oh, she's a witch. You know, she's hesitating before she reads the scripture. That means she's got to be a witch, right? So, like I say, reading troubles are not a big thing. So you can't say she didn't want to read. She just didn't. I guess you could say she didn't want to read the Bible. But she could read, okay? Because, like I say, everybody was able to read according to this thing back in the 1500s in Sweden. It's actually pretty cool if you ask me. There were some people here that still couldn't read in the 1800s. Weren't allowed to or whatnot. That wasn't considered by the court that she was Finnish, you know? Even though the capital had a bunch of people there, like, that were Finnish people, and there was like a small community of Finnish people, they still were like, you know, kind of outcasts. So I know I've talked about the Finnish people in another episode, in another earlier episode, about how they become, it's easy to make them scapegoats for this type of thing, unfortunately. And so, like I say, Maria testified saying that Malen took her and several other children to Satan in Blockula, okay? Yep, she was like, we all went, and my mom took us, and then she said that when they're in the courtroom, that as she's looking at her mother, this is Maria, as Maria is looking at Malen, she was like, I can see the devil. I can see him standing next to her, holding on to her, whispering into her ear, to not answer y'all's questions, to not recite these prayers correctly. Maria's saying she can see the devil standing there with her mom. What? Does not anybody else does that not sound suspicious to anybody else, or is it just me? As I'm just saying. Anyway, all right, and so we got that going on, okay? This is crazy. And so she says she took all these kids. Now, Maria, her daughter, is also, she's not done. She has recruited some other kids to get in on this action. You know what I mean? So Maria actually enlisted in the help of a couple of other kids from the neighborhood. Yep. A 10-year-old Matthias Wallendorf. Got it. I got it. All right. And 7-year-old Margareta Jorensdotter. I'm pretty happy about that. All right. Testified that they were abducted by Malen as well and taken to Blockula. Yeah. And they supported all of Maria's accounts about meeting with the devil and all this other stuff, having the fatigue and being tired and having fits. And they were all like, yeah, saying that the devil was right there next to Malen. So when Malen, the court was like, okay, Malen, get on your knees and say a prayer. So she got on her knees and it would say a prayer, probably in Finnish. And then Maria would say, okay, now the devil is gone. I don't see the devil standing with my mother anymore. So now a married woman named Gertrude Matsdotter testified that Malen had abducted her children and taken them to Satan 16 times before losing them in a game to a woman accused of sorcery. Anna Hook, which was, I think that Malen was her midwife, was Anna's midwife. And so that's why they kind of combined them like that. And anyway, so Malen, Gertrude said that Malen abducted her children 14 times from prison, though. Make that make sense. How are you abducting children and taking them to the devil that's on an island while you're in prison? I mean, seriously. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, little Gertrude jumps on this train, you know, says, and then her children testified against Malen, of course, saying that Malen beat one of them and was like, if you beat them, basically saying, don't testify against me. Okay, but then my question would be next, where are the marks? Can we see where you were hit? Where were you hurt? Where are the scratches? Where are the bruises? Where are all these things? Nobody has an answer because nobody asked that question, right? And so she just says that all of her children, she would rather them all die than suffer the way she has been. And she will kill Malen if the courts don't do it for her. Well, that's a little bit dramatic there, Gertrude, you know. So now Malen's oldest daughter, Anna, comes out. She's like, hey, I got some stuff I got to say too. She comes out and says, guess what? I've been following in my mother's footsteps, and I have started to abduct children and also take them to this island as an offering to the devil. Okay, so this is her solidifying it by saying she is actually doing it. That's how bad they want the courts to believe this. Okay? And I'm telling y'all, they want that house. They want that house because back then women didn't own that much. Okay? That's all they could see. They wanted that house. They wanted that house. That's all they asked. But the judge is done that. Now, after Anna said what she said, first off, she got arrested. You can't just say, I'm taking children to go see the devil and think not anything, fuck all's going to happen to you, okay? That's just not going to work. So they arrested her, so kind of keep that in mind as we go forward. Now, Malen was given the chance to confess, okay? They asked her many times, like, are you actually doing this? Is this something that, you know, that you're doing? And she's like, no. I'm not going to confess to something that I haven't done, you know? And so she didn't. And she was actually, the way they did witch trials back then, okay, in Sweden. First, what they would do is they would decapitate the person and then burn the body, like around town so that everybody could see it. That way the person being burned wouldn't like go through all that pain. But with Malen, it's going to be a little bit different. Okay. So anyway, so we're back at the courtroom. The court asked Maria, are you just trying to get your mother's house? Is that why you're saying all this? Like they asked her in the court of law, in front of everybody, and she straight up denied it. Okay? I'm sorry, but that was a lie. That was a lie. That had to have been a lie because Malen, her daughters wanted that house. And I'll tell you why she wanted that house. Because Malen knew that her daughters were very lazy. They couldn't hold a job. They couldn't keep anything for themselves. And so they thought that if they went home, that their mama would take care of them. Well, we found out different, did we not? Yes, we did. Malen said that if she has ever taken anybody to Blockula, which of course she's always denied, then she would have learned it from Anna Zippel, and that was the person that she was the midwife for. So the court was convinced that she was a witch, that Malen didn't have a chance because the kids were saying, her own kids were saying that she was taking them to this place. She had other kids saying that she was taking them to this place. They even had a mom saying that her kids are being taken to this place. And so nobody believed Malen. And the fact that she couldn't say the prayers correctly or up to their standards, excuse me, you know, like maybe because she had a hard accent, like I say. Maybe she really couldn't say those words, you know? Her accent was just really rough. And, I mean, there's some words we can't say. I'm just saying, as a Southern person, we all have words that we can't say. That, or when we say them, they sound a lot different when other people say it. And so anyway, they had asked Malen to fall to her knees and repeat a prayer, but she could not do it. She couldn't do it after, like I told y'all earlier, like 11 attempts of her trying to do this. They were just absolutely 100% convinced that she was a witch. And so what she actually said something about her kid's testimony. She said, may God let them go there forever. And when there meant Blockula. Like basically she just cursed her children. Like, well, actually she hasn't done that yet. But she was like, yeah, they deserve to go to Blockula or whatever. They should just stay there. That's what she says. And she also says she didn't mind dying with her kids testifying against her. Not a problem. She's not have a problem with this. The girls stood by their accusations, and Malen stood by the fact that she was innocent. Okay? So keep that in mind. She was innocent, and she was not ever going to waver from that. Like ever. No. She was never going to waver from that. And I wouldn't either, because good for her, right? I mean, so the fact that she denied her being a witch was also more of a sign that she was associated with the devil. And because as a witch, she was withstanding the interrogation. Now, the interrogation could have been torture for all we know. But she was staying strong, you know, not a problem. Nothing's bothering her. You know what I mean? And so Malen, of course, like I say, she is, it's not too long before they say that she is guilty. Even though she's tried to save herself, you know, but her kids, they're dead set on getting this house. Even though Anna is still in jail, okay? Her oldest daughter who said all that madness, she's still in jail, okay? And so, but our girl Malen, on July 16th, 1676, she is condemned by the courts on the testimonies of her kids, and she is sentenced to execution. Now, like I told you guys earlier, executions were what? They were decapitation, and then they burned the body. That's how they normally would do it. Well, they gave the Witch Commission 3 choices, the royals did, on what they could do with Malen. All right. Now, the first one was execution by decapitation and then the body burned. So the decapitation would get you, and then the body being burned, of course, you wouldn't feel that because you'd be gone. The second one is torture, then decapitation, then burn the body. Okay, that sounds a little rough, but I think she was probably already tortured. And then the last one was just to burn her alive. Okay. Y'all can all take a guess as to what they decided. Okay. Number 3 was the choice. Yes, it was. Number 3 was the choice. Okay, and the clerical commission from this little witch commission area stated that his vote on number 3, was the honor of God should be regarded before the personal pain of Malen, and that she should be given a taste of what's awaiting her in hell after giving souls to the devil. Judge much? He's judging her before she's even dead. He ain't even the right one to be judging. Anyway, but we got this other commissioner in the commission that is like suggested torture with hot irons prior to her execution, because he thought that would like the pain would be so much it would knock her out, and then they could go forth with the burning of her, and she wouldn't feel it because she would be unconscious. You feel what I'm saying? So a priest shut that down. Shut it down so quick, was like, no. To honor the name of God was more important than Malen's experience of pain. It's exactly what a priest, A priest said that. Okay. I'm just telling y'all, priests are supposed to be, you know, very cool and all that, but you know, it is what it is. They say that it's necessary for the public to see her as she is, you know, in all of her glory or whatnot. And so she was the only person in a witch trial in Sweden to not be beheaded before burned. Okay, so normally the beheading was your death, and then the burning of your body was basically a show off to the town of everybody that, yay, we got her, the witch is dead, yay, yeah, you know, and all this other madness. And so, but for her, she's going to do this. So she's going to go through this. She is going to go through this execution. She does not have a problem with it whatsoever. And she's like, bring it on, you know, I'm down, let's do this. She has no fear about her whatsoever, okay? They placed a bag of gunpowder around her neck just to make sure this goes off without a hitch. Okay, so I thought about that for a second. You know, I was thinking, gunpowder, you know, you see people lay lines of gunpowder and exposed to air, it will just burn. But, as we know, gunpowder, when compressed, with no oxygen and then released, it can explode. So it can explode, right? So I'm wondering, how do they have this bag tied? Is it like just a bag that's like open to the air? Is it just gonna burn her? Is it gonna like explode her into pieces and then like the crowd's just gonna be covered in Malen, you know? It's like, what? Like, the gunpowder, that was like, wow, I can't believe they're going to do that. Like, because she denied her guilt, that made it worse for her, y'all. Because she denied it, people were like, okay, well then she is definitely this, you know. Executioner said she did not fear death. No, the executioner, she was pretty chill the whole entire time. Like, the executioner did not bother her or anything whatsoever. And she was very, very tough. She spoke calmly with the executioner, allowing him to, you know, fasten her hands and feet and put a bag of gunpowder around her neck and all this other stuff. You know, she was totally fine with that. The priests, on the other hand, that were watching all this were like, repent, you know, repent your sins and say what you did. Because there was a girl that was also up next to her, the Anna chick, not her daughter, but the other Anna chick, she was right next to her for witchcraft. But what she did was she got down on her hands and knees, started saying psalms, and was holding her hands up in the air before her execution. And so they ended up beheading her and then burning her body. So I don't know how any other way to say this, but she kind of got the easy way out compared to our girl Malin. Okay, she got her head, you know. But Malin, stoic, not gonna say I did something I didn't do type deal. And I'm telling you, it's fantastic. And then, so she's telling all the little priests or whatever, I'm not gonna do that, I'm not gonna do that. And then her daughter runs up and she was like, Mother, please just tell them what you have done and let us make peace, you know, and all this other kind of stuff. And when her daughters asked her to admit her crimes, Malen delivered her daughter into the hands of the devil and cursed her for eternity. Yeah, while she's getting prepared to be roasted. And now I'm guessing the daughter's starting to feel bad. She's like seeing what she's done in full-fledged, full motion, you know. She's like, oh my gosh, my mom is fixing to die. And this is because I made up a bunch of stuff just so I could get her house. Now they go ahead and do what they have to do. And I'll describe to you what happened during the, you know, her burning. Through all of this was both horrifying and pathetic to look upon. Those who suffered death did not shed one tear, but stood by their standpoint of innocence with an unnatural courage. meaning she didn't scream, she didn't cry, she just burned. And that was it. And the craziest thing is that it was almost like she didn't feel any pain. And so they blamed the devil for that too. They're like, oh, well, he made her not feel pain. So it's totally fine, right? He made her not feel pain, so it's fine. Like, no, that's not how it works. She was just strong and she knew it was coming and she wasn't afraid. And, you know, that's just the way it is. Anna, Malin's daughter, Anna, some of the judges in the commission, at the witch commission, had started to kind of feel a little bit bad about what they're doing to these women, okay? And that they're taking the word of children over the word. And you know what the tipping point for them was? When they started talking about how the higher ups were witches, the real rich people, the ones in courts and stuff like that. Then people were like, oh crap, you know, I bet these kids are making all this up, right? I mean, give me a break. Like, as soon as the royals get like hit, they're like, okay, we can't be taking these children into consideration. I mean, technically one of them was 10 and the other one was 7. Like, I mean, I wouldn't be taking that either, you know. Oh my goodness. And so now they're thinking that maybe child witnesses aren't that really great, you know. And what happens is on September 11th, 1676, this girl that's been on the stand, okay, she's a squealer, you know, she's a kid and she's telling all these lies about maybe her mom, her aunt, whoever. She just breaks down and she's like, I can't do this. I can't, I've made everything up. She recanted all of her testimonies. And so that's why the commission was like, we can't just take one story from these kids and ask them questions about that one story. Like, in most cases, they will ask you to repeat your story many, many times to see if there's any discrepancies, any lies, anything you're trying to cover up. But what they didn't do, like I say, one of the kids said that Malen beat him so that he wouldn't testify against her. But yet, that had to have happened recently. And where were the marks? You know, but they skipped all that, and because they were so interested in the fact that she could do that from her jail cell, you know? Like, give me a break. So anyway, the child witness thing, it really started to... So these kids, once the one on the stand started kind of going down and was like, you know what, this is bad. And there was 3 top kids that got in trouble because they started the whole entire witch madness thing. And all 3 of them got charged for perjury, and they were killed for perjury, okay? 17 other kids were also perjured, okay? They were under there for perjury, and they were physically punished as well. Now, let's go to Anna, Malin's daughter, who she gets out of prison and is not a witch. She's not tried as a witch, but she is tried for her perjury, for the lies she said about herself and about her mom. And so her punishment is to be basically whipped in front of everybody She said, I think that Anna was starting to feel bad anyway. Like, I really and truly do. And I say that because she said that she started having dreams about her mom. She said that her mom would come to her in dreams and, you know, say things like, you're going to come as soon as possible, you know. And I think that she really started to have a guilty conscience about the whole entire thing. She was just kind of like, I can't believe I did this type deal. You know, I can't believe I said all these things about my own mother. You know, I mean, it is kind of bonkers. But at the same time, you know, you got to remember they're just kids. And so the kids, a lot of them were given official warnings. The top 3 were killed. A lot of them just got warnings and maybe probably got punished at home or something, you know. But then the royals told the priest of all the churches, tell them that all the witches are gone. Yeah, tell them they're all gone. They don't have to worry about it no more. We're not doing any more witch trials, basically. And then Malen is the second to last to die as a witch. And then the last person was actually another person. And, but she was prosecuted for witchcraft in Sweden, the last to be burned, and the second to last to be executed by burning in Sweden. So they did have somebody else after that, but they decapitated them. And she was the only one that was burnt up whole, is basically what I'm trying to say. When Anna got her punishment, she got flogged and hit and beat in the streets. And then she died from that, unfortunately. So poor Malin is just trying to be a good mom. She's trying to set a good example. Maybe she was abusive. I mean, you know, back then they were kind of strict about everything, you know, and it was just for her own children to come at her and be like, I'm trying to get money from you. And, you know, they just wanted her house. I'm telling y'all, that's all they wanted was her house. They just wanted her freaking house. And that is... So Anna, her daughter, ends up dying. 2 generations of this family end up dying because of what Maria says. Okay? And I tell you, I don't know if Maria ever got that house. But she did. You know her mama up in there haunting that joker. I'm telling you. So, like I say, 1677, all the priests were to say all witches were gone forever to avoid any more witch trials at all. But just to say, this story was crazy to me, first off because of the first husband. And second off because of the way that they did her. It was pretty bad. Really, really bad. It just goes to show you that family is not excluded from being jealous or having jealous feelings towards things. It was obvious that her daughters felt like they shouldn't have to work, that they were entitled to her mother's house. They were entitled to the things that she gave them, you know, and in this world, you're not entitled to anything. You know, you work for what you want and you build yourself, you know, and you do what you love at the same time. And so this is kind of it's sad. This one makes me sad because she had daughters. And how hard was it for women back then, guys? Like, no men had any part in this except the sentencing. And then even after that, how can your own daughters say those things about you and then recruit other kids to say the same things about you? Like, and then to watch you burn. I just, as a woman, I couldn't believe that her own kids ratted her out. Not only that they were kids and that they were little girls, she had daughters. You know, I mean, but that's our story for today, you guys, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Like I say, I got a new setup here, so I really hope you guys like it. I hope it looks better. I hope it sounds better. I'm trying to do better. So, anyways, thank you so much for being here. If you haven't subscribed, please do. I upload twice a week. And anyway, if nobody's told you today, I love you. So have a great day, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.